My parents forged my signature on a $500,000 loan to save their golden child. I waited until their golden anniversary to serve them the lawsuit. My name is Bennet, and I was born as an insurance policy. That's not me being dramatic. That is literally what my mother told me when I was 12 years old. She said, "We had you just in case something happened to Preston, so he would have a donor match." Preston is my older brother. Preston is the golden child. He is the sun, the moon, and the stars of our family. If Preston drew a stick figure, it was framed and put on the mantle. If I got straight A's, I was asked why I didn't help Preston with his homework. For 30 years, I lived in his shadow. I watched my parents buy him cars, pay for his colleges, all 3 that he dropped out of, and bail him out of legal trouble. Me? I was the invisible mechanic. I fixed the things he broke. I cleaned up the messes he made. I paid for my own education, started my own logistics company, and clawed my way to success without a single penny from them. I thought I had escaped. I went low contact 3 years ago. I thought I was safe, but narcissists don't let their victims go that easily, especially not when their golden child sets the family on fire. 6 months ago, my parents destroyed the last shred of love I had for them. They committed a felony to save Preston, and they tried to ruin my life to do it. Here is how I sent my own brother to prison and left my parents homeless on the night of their 50th wedding anniversary. It started, as it always does, with a crisis. Preston had started a business again. Over the years, it had been a DJ career, a vape shop, a drop-shipping empire, and a crypto hedge fund. This time, it was luxury house flipping. He convinced my parents to remortgage their paid-off house to give him seed money, $300,000. They gave it to him without blinking. "He's finally found his passion, Bennet," my mom told me on the phone, her voice dripping with condescension. "You should be supportive. Maybe he can even hire you to drive the trucks." I didn't tell her that my logistics company operates a fleet of 50 vehicles across the tri-state area. I just said, "Good luck," and hung up. 3 months later, the silence broke. My dad called me. "Bennet, we need to talk. It's urgent." I met them at a diner. They looked aged, terrified. "Preston is in trouble," my dad said. "What did he do?" I asked, sipping my coffee. "The flipping project. There were complications, structural issues. The contractor ran off with the money, and, well, Preston borrowed some money from private lenders." "Loan sharks," I corrected her. "Private lenders," she snapped. "They are threatening him. He needs $200,000 by next week, or they're going to hurt him." They looked at me, the look I knew so well, the open your wallet look. "I don't have $200,000 liquid cash to give to Preston," I said calmly. "But your business," my mom cried. "We know you have it. You just want him to suffer because you're jealous." "I'm not jealous, Mom. I'm responsible. I'm not throwing money into a black hole." I paid for the coffee and left. I thought that was the end of it. I blocked their numbers for a week to get some peace. I didn't know that while I was blocking them, they were unblocking a nightmare. I was in my office signing payroll checks when my CFO, Sarah, walked in. She looked pale. "Bennet, we have a problem with the bank, a big one." "What is it?" "A lien has been placed on the company assets, and your personal credit score just tanked 200 points overnight." I logged into my banking portal. There it was, a defaulted loan. A business loan for $500,000, taken out in my name, secured against my house and my company. The lender was a shady online firm known for high-risk capital. I downloaded the loan documents. My hand shook as I scrolled to the bottom. There was my signature, or rather, a very good tracing of my signature. And the co-signers, Robert and Martha Miller, my parents, but they listed me as the primary borrower. The funds had been dispersed 3 weeks ago. Destination account, Preston Miller Enterprises. They had forged my signature. They stole my identity to take out a $500,000 loan to pay off the loan sharks and give Preston extra cash to play with. And now that Preston had inevitably spent it or lost it, the first payment bounced and the creditors were coming for me. I sat in my chair, feeling like I'd been shot in the chest. My own parents, they were willing to bankrupt me, destroy the company I built from nothing, and leave me homeless just to buy Preston a few more months of delusion. I didn't call them. I called the police. And then I called the most aggressive fraud attorney in the state. My lawyer, Mr. Vance, was brutal. "This is clear-cut identity theft and bank fraud," he said. "We can have them arrested today." "No," I said. I was looking at the invitation on my desk. Robert and Martha's golden anniversary. 50 years of love. It was in 2 weeks. They had rented a banquet hall. They had invited everyone. Family, friends, church members, neighbors. They wanted to play the role of the perfect, successful family one last time. "I don't want to arrest them today," I told Mr. Vance. "I want to serve them at the party." Mr. Vance smiled. "That's cold. I like it." For 2 weeks, I played dumb. I unblocked their numbers. "Hey, Mom," I said. "Sorry I've been busy. I'll be there at the anniversary." She sounded relieved. "Oh, good. We were worried you were still pooting. Preston is going to give a toast. It would be nice if you brought a gift." "Don't worry. I'm bringing something unforgettable." I hired a private investigator to track the $500,000. It was worse than I thought. Preston hadn't just paid off loan sharks. He had bought a Porsche. He had rented a penthouse suite in Las Vegas for a weekend. He had gambled away $150,000 in 2 nights, and my parents knew. I found text messages, thanks to a subpoena on the phone plan I still paid for. Mom text, "Don't worry, Preston. Bennet won't notice for months. By then, your big deal will close and we can pay it back." Dad text, "Just make sure you hide the car when Bennet comes over." They weren't victims of a bad child. They were accomplices. The night of the party, I wore my best suit. I walked into the banquet hall. It was decorated in gold and white. There was a giant photo of Preston and my parents at the entrance. I wasn't in the photo. I walked to the bar and ordered a soda. Relatives came up to me. "Bennet, so good to see you. We heard you're helping Preston with his business. That's so noble of you." My blood boiled. They were telling people I gave him the money. They were controlling the narrative. Preston walked in. He was wearing a tuxedo that clearly cost more than my first car. He saw me and smirked. He walked over, smelling of expensive cologne and arrogance. "Thanks for the loan, bro," he whispered, leaning in. "Although next time, try to get a lower interest rate. You're hurting my margins." He winked and walked away. He thought I had accepted it. He thought I was the doormat I had been for 30 years. Dinner was served. Then came the speeches. My dad stood up. "I want to thank my beautiful wife and my son Preston for organizing this amazing night." Preston didn't organize it. He paid for it with my stolen money. "And Bennet is here too," Dad added as an afterthought. Then Preston took the mic. "I'd like to make a special announcement," he said, beaming. "This year has been hard, but thanks to the support of this family, my real estate empire is expanding. We are looking at buying a second property in Miami." The crowd cheered. My mom was wiping away tears of pride. I stood up. I walked to the stage. Preston looked confused. Bennet? You want to say something?" "Yes," I said. I took the microphone from his hand. "I have a special presentation for Mom and Dad, a recap of the last 50 years. I signaled the AV guy, who I had tipped $100 earlier. The screen behind us changed. It wasn't a slideshow of memories. It was a PDF document. Federal lawsuit, Bennet Miller versus Robert Miller, Martha Miller, and Preston Miller. Charges: identity theft, wire fraud, grand larceny, forgery. The room went silent. "What is this?" my mom shrieked from the front table. "This," I said, pointing to the screen, "is the loan document you forged my signature on 3 weeks ago." I clicked the remote. A photo of Preston's new Porsche appeared. "And this is what Preston bought with the money you stole from me." I clicked again. A photo of his gambling receipts. "And this is where the rest of my retirement fund went." Preston lunged at me. "Turn it off! He's lying!" But I stepped back. "I'm not lying, Preston. and neither are the two gentlemen walking in the back door. Everyone turned. 2 police officers and a detective entered the hall. They weren't there for the cake. Mr. Vance, my lawyer, had coordinated with the DA. The fraud amount was so high, it was a felony. The detective walked up to the stage. "Preston Miller, Robert Miller, Martha Miller? This is a mistake," my dad shouted, standing up, his face purple. "My son gave us permission. He's just being vindictive. We have a forensic handwriting analysis that says otherwise, and text messages where you admitted to hiding the car from me." The police handcuffed Preston first. He started crying, like a toddler. "Mom, do something! Tell them!" Then they handcuffed my dad. My mom was screaming. She ran to me, grabbing my arm. "Bennet, stop this! We're your parents! How can you do this in front of everyone?" I looked at her. I looked at the woman who told me I was just an insurance policy for her gold. I looked at her. I looked at the woman who told me I was just an insurance policy for her golden boy. "You stole my future to pay for his past," I said. "You aren't my parents. You're just the people who forged my name." The police took her too. She was dragged out of her own golden anniversary party in handcuffs, kicking and screaming that I was an ungrateful brat. The guests sat in stunned silence. I placed the microphone on the table. "Enjoy the cake," I told the room. "I paid for it, technically." That was 6 months ago. Because I acted quickly and had overwhelming evidence, the bank released the lien on my business. I'm still fighting to fix my credit score, but it's recovering. Preston took a plea deal. He is serving 4 years in prison for fraud. My parents avoided prison due to their age and health issues, another lie, but they lost everything. To pay back the bank and avoid prosecution, they had to sell their house, the house they loved so much. They are currently living in a 1-bedroom rental apartment. They live on Social Security. Most of their friends abandoned them after the party. The public humiliation was total. My mom writes me letters. She says I destroyed the family. She says if I had just loaned them the money, none of this would have happened. She still blames me. She takes zero accountability. I burn the letters, unopened. Last week, I went to visit Preston in prison. Not to forgive him, I needed him to sign a document releasing his claim to a small piece of land our grandfather left us, which I discovered he hadn't sold yet. He looked thin, tired. The golden glow was gone. "Why did you do it, Bennet? You had plenty of money. You could have spared some." "I didn't do it for the money, Preston. I did it to show you that the world doesn't work like Mom and Dad told you. In the real world, you can't trace someone else's name on a check and call it success." I left him there. I walked out into the sunlight. I got into my car, paid with my money, and I drove away. I am no longer the spare part. I am the only part that works.